In my last video, I was going to show you how I'm going to travel from Florence up to Lake Como. But first I wanted to kind of recap about how I'm going to travel and what my plans are for those who haven't seen the very beginnings of my first few videos. So I'm going to go to Florence, Italy for a full month, and I'm going to make Florence the hub for where I am going to travel in and around Tuscany. I'm going to stick to Tuscany, which is the northern half of Italy, and I'm not going to travel to other countries, or probably won't even travel to other cities farther south than Rome. And that's because I'm going to save those for another time. I'll save those for another trip. So how I do this travel is I do this solo. I build my own itineraries, my own idea about what I want to do for an itinerary, and I don't use organized buses or organized tours or anything like that. Now I'll kind of sneak in and look and see what the organized tours do see, but I'm going to do it all by myself. So here's my research on how I'm going to get from Florence up to Lake Como, visit for the day, and then get back. So let me show you my research, and then I'll show you what I found that there is to explore. So just to give you an idea about how far Lake Como is from Florence, well, it's still well north of Milan, which is still well north of Florence. And many of the TripAdvisor organized tour groups advertise that they're based out of Milan. Now, one mentions that they start their tour on a train from Milan to the city of Como. So I think I'm going to start my research on how to get to Como and see what there is to explore there. The city of Como has two train stations. One is larger, called Como San Giovanni. It's on the edge of the city, and the other is Como Nord Lago, which is right near the water. So this is ideal for what I like to do. Going on to the Train Italia website, looks like I can take a fast train from Florence to Milan, leaving Florence at 7 in the morning, and then two regional trains from Milan to Como, getting me there to the city of Como at 10 in the morning. So this trip will still take me at least 3.5 hours. Now, working the reverse way home to make sure that I'm getting out of Como in time to get home to Florence before dinner, if I leave on the small train station in Como at 3 in the afternoon, I'll take two regional trains back to Milan and then the fast train into Florence, getting me home by 7. That gives me 5 hours to explore the city of Como and maybe even Lake Como itself. So let's see what there is to do in Como. Jumping on the Lake Como travel website, they mention things to do like strolling through the streets and shopping, exploring the piazzas and the Romanesque and Gothic churches. You can walk through these grand estate that's really close by the center of town. It's called Villa Olmo. And then you can also walk by the water to get to that villa. You'll see the Volta Museum. And then there are old Roman ruins of a bathhouse right there in the center of town. And there's also a funiculare, or cable car, that takes you to the top of this hill where you can get a great views of the city below and the lake below. As you can see here, the city of Como is actually very quaint and everything is really close by. And as I'm doing all this walking around, I'm definitely going to be scoping out some of the restaurants that are on the waterfront. And if I have time, there's the lake tours. And I Googled Lake Como tours, and I was staying away from Vivator and TripAdvisor. I clicked on one of those local sightseeing tour agencies. And when I clicked on their guided tours, it looks like this one local company had 3, but each of them were 8 hours long and take you the entire length of the lake. But I'm not going to have time for that. So then I went back and I clicked on Lake Como Travel from earlier, and I clicked on public tours. And as you can see, they have a lot to choose from. Now, their public tours are actually the ferries that the residents use to get to and from each of the different cities. So it looks like I can get on a ferry at Como and dot my way up as far as I want to go and then return. It's kind of like a hop-on, hop-off bus, but it's a ferry. That sounds like a great idea. Now, it'll be November when I'm going to be there, so I'll have to keep an eye on the weather, because obviously this is a large lake and it could get very choppy. But nothing this old sailor isn't used to. So I hope you enjoyed that video on my research on how I'm going to get from Florence all the way up to Lake Como. Spend about 5 hours walking around the city, walking on the waterfront, looking at some of the churches and the piazzas, having a lunch on the water, and then maybe taking one of those ferries that go up and down the lake. So I think Lake Como is definitely one of those cities that I want to explore. So for my next video, I'm thinking I might want to kind of recap some of the places that I've researched and kind of show you in a grand map where things are in relationship to Florence and how I'm going to do day trips all around the region. Hope you enjoy. Thanks.